Hi guys, this is the Internships and Placements presentation at Zimmer and Peacock Limited, and I will be your host, Ellie, a previous intern and a current employee for Zimmer and Peacock. So now I'm just going to explain some background information on the company and also just my own personal experiences with internships as a student. So on that note, let's go. So some background information on the company is that Zimmer and Peacock are an international and national company. It's nanotechnology and biosensing that innovates and creates diagnostic measurements for a variety of clients and causes. By throwing you in at the deep end, ZP will teach you a wide range of skill sets which will benefit your future career and scientific interests in the scientific community and industry. Lab experience and confidence are strengthened when working on multiple projects in different areas, from agriculture sensors to clinical sensors and everything in between. When I say this company can turn anything into a sensor, believe me, it's true. So the types of internship and work experience available. So Zimmer and Peacock offer various placements in various areas. They have sites all over the world. However, for internships specifically, they focus their energy on the Coventry lab in England and also the Horton lab in Norway. There is a new site in Swansea, Wales that has just opened, but to my knowledge, they haven't started inquiring for internships there yet. So the types of internships available are summer internship, year placement, and 2 to 4 weeks work experience. The summer internship and year placement are paid internships with travel expenses included, whereas the 2 to 4 weeks work experience is non-paid and it's more for a kind of brief introduction to the company and working in a clinical environment, professional clinical environment. So what we're looking for from you, what the company demands. So we're looking for adaptability as one of our main scores at ZP. We expect you to be able to just fit into different roles throughout the company. For example, when I first came, I'm a biomedical scientist graduate, currently doing my master's, and as any other science student can vouch for me, I am not an engineer. I am so far from an engineer. But one of my first jobs working with the company was to try out some engineering for a new agricultural sensor. And I actually worked by the end of my internship as a material, electrical, mechanical, chemical, and biomedical engineer. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. So they're also looking for chemists, electrochemists, sensor painters, data analysts, market analysts, and more. So when you first apply for ZP, really make sure that you list your skill sets because they will be utilized within loads of different projects. Scientific background is another big part of what we're looking for at ZP, because we want that science interest and that curiosity that most science students have. But again, most importantly, some lab experience is really important to make sure that you're safe within the working environment. Another important thing to we're looking for is enthusiasm and interest to work on various projects. We're looking for someone that really wants to push themselves out the boat and have a look at working at not just in their comfort zone in the clinical aspect, but also being pushed to try new things and try new projects that they wouldn't normally go for. We're looking for organised and good time management students, which as a student you should be with all your courseworks and deadlines going on, for client work and projects. So teamwork skills for discussing sensors with both external investors and internal colleagues are really, really important because we are such a tight-knit team that just putting yourself as a little cog within that working cycle can really, really make you feel empowered within your professional career. Also, if that little cog isn't going properly and you're not doing what you're asked to do and the team isn't working sufficiently, then the business and the project just won't run smoothly and it can not benefit a lot of people. So yeah, we're looking for someone who's a good team player. So most importantly, what you'll gain from being with us, because at the end of the day, you want to choose an internship that is really going to benefit you. So experience working in a professional environment I found most important for me, just because being a student, I'd only ever done lab work and worked with lecturers and fellow colleagues and students. So I'd never been in that professional working environment, and I've done work experience in hospitals and mental health clinics, but it's never ever been run by clients, by a private institution. So it was really eye-opening to see how the research side of the clinical world works. So yeah, confidence and experience in lab work due to COVID. I know so many science students that haven't had time to go into the lab, which can, as part of our degree, it is a science degree and very practical. So with this internship, you will be thrown into the lab and you will be thrown with chemicals and equipment, just like every science student should be. Interaction with new colleagues in various fields. This is what I found so interesting. You work with so many different people that have done so many different things and are specialists in so many different areas. So being surrounded by that much variation all the time really improved my skill set of, say for example, engineering, and knowing more about how to be the best of what I'm put in. So learning new techniques with different projects and new equipment. Like I said, as a science student, I don't know about you, but I love messing around with new equipment and new chemicals. I love being thrown in the deep end, and there is a lot of new equipment that you will be using. So it won't just be a spectrometer. There's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more new techniques and new equipment for you to learn in order to really work on these sensors. So developing your knowledge in current interests while increasing your knowledge in new areas. So like I said, as clinical students, you are going to be more drawn to the clinical sensors because it's what we know. We know diseases, we know how the body works. So putting us on an agricultural sensor would be it was very daunting for me. So I can imagine it would be very different for you. But now I'm very confident in all types of sensors, and I couldn't be more happy with that. So yeah, and also the ability to travel and work abroad. Like I said, with COVID and stuff, we haven't been able to travel, we haven't been able to work and go away. So this is a really, really, really good opportunity to really funnel your career, as well as also getting the opportunity to go and work internationally. So these are a few pictures of my own personal experience at ZP, and then also some of our good colleagues off our ZP Tech website and blog. As you can see, there are a variety of sensors being worked on, from food sense with spice sensors to nitrate sensors, which are the agricultural ones that I was previously talking about. ZP mainly works with screen printed sensors. So there is a screen printing machine, which again, new equipment for you to learn on and put on your CV. And yeah, this is just us having fun with different types of biosensors and having fun in the lab with working on new bits and pieces. As an intern, you will not be sat down like the rest of the internships that I applied for, where you're sat down making cups of tea and coffee and just kind of pigeonholed. You don't, with ZP, you are a member of the team, no matter whether you're an intern, full-time, part-time, you will be expected to have that same level of commitment and dedication to the projects that you're working on. So I was filling in epoxy, I was sensor painting with different types of gold and silver chloride paint. So yeah, they really throw you in the deep end with that, which again, I love. So my personal experience with ZP. So I started as an on-call on the 1st of June online to help with the nitrate project, which was the agricultural sensors that I was talking about before. I then started as an intern in Coventry on the 1st of July. I was meant to go straight to Horton, but because of COVID and everything, it was best for me to stay in Coventry for my first month of the 3-month summer internship. So I'm more than grateful that I did my first month in Coventry anyway, because learning the grips of the company from the English side really helped boost my confidence. And then I started as an intern in Horton, Norway on the 1st of August, a month later, and stayed for 2 months over summer before starting as a campus ambassador on the 1st of October till now. So here are a couple of my favourite memories, because I wanted you guys to not just see the science aspect of it, that there is a good social side as well. Like I said, the team is a very tight-knit group, and we're all about laughing and joking as well, as long as you're making sure you get the work done. So Here there are champagne glasses and some homemade cake. I think that was my first week at ZP, where the master's students that are currently with ZP got graduated and got amazing grades. So we all celebrated at the Lager. I don't really think that they have an English translation for it, but it's basically like, as Martin would like to put, the nightclub of ZP, but it's just a client bar and staff bar where we have meals, and like I said, if clients are coming in, like important clients, we'll set it all up and have a meeting there before having a meal and things. So it's also a nice area where the staff can hang out either after work or for an occasion, for example, for the master's students. And for my last night, we actually had leaving drinks there, which is the middle picture where we made homemade cocktails and socialised on my last night, which was really nice. Also in Horton, they really like their waffles. So we had a waffle day at the office, and just below is my two favourite sensors that I worked on, which was my nitrate sensor and also my painting sensors, which I can't say exactly what sensor it was, but it was a clinical sensor. Yeah. So an average work day would be it's an average 9 to 5 job, 5 days a week. So you'd start at 9 a.m, start on the task given to you by your project supervisor in the weekly project catch-up meeting, because each week, each project and everybody involved has a weekly meeting to kind of see where you're at, see if you're struggling, see if you need any additional help, or if you're just ploughing through all the tasks, what the next best thing to do is. So you'll have already had that from your project supervisor either that day, if the meeting's that day, or if it's already been in the week. After that, you discuss your job with your fellow interns on the same project and divide up the workload, because normally the interns get given like a group task, or a few tasks that you can divvy up between you. So kind of like utilize your skill sets, and if you really want to do a certain task, this is where you can put yourself forward and show that you are independent enough to do this task on your own. So then we have project, client, national and international weekly meetings. So, excuse me. Along with having a project weekly meeting, we also have national and international weekly meetings, where the national meetings are where we just have the UK cohort, and then international is where we have Horton, London and Coventry. And that will vary on. They're all not all on the same day. They vary within the week. But then you also might have a client meeting as well, where you're discussing with the client what the next tasks are, whether you need to increase the budget, decrease the budget, whatever you need to discuss at that point. Then you have a check-in point with your supervisors for progress or support check. This is really important because as an intern myself, I really wanted to not ask any questions and not seem like a burden on the company. But as the team is such a tight-knit group, they're really supportive on people that haven't really done this kind of thing before. They will never ever demean you for asking a question. So just to make sure that you're really up to date on the project, and if you're steaming ahead, making sure that you've got something to do and you're not just being, like I said, the typical intern where you'd sit and make coffees all day. And then on to the next task, or develop a new skill. So developing a new skill was really important for me, just because I wanted to try and get the most out of all of my experiences with ZP. So I'm not a data analyst, but in my spare time, when the nitrate project was developing slowly, I learned Python in my spare time, which was a really great experience because I've never been good at data analyst work before. So it was really fun to have that in the background. So even though I knew that I was finishing my tasks, I could go back to Python and learn a new skill, which was great for my CV and just for future prospects. And then finish at 5 p.m. Yeah, and like I said, even though you're an intern, you're not going to be making teas and coffees, but even if you are given a small task, for example, these are my first 2 tasks I got given on the right-hand side. So it was organising all of the soil samples ready for our nitrate project, and then also going into the engineering lab and going crazy with the label maker and organising everything. So even though the task might not seem So important. Just bear with it and just know that as soon as a task comes up that the project manager thinks that you're suitable for, they will push you in the deep end. So maybe don't take for granted the small tasks, is what I would definitely say, before you get put in a task where you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much, I wish I was just organising the lab again. But yeah, so on to the next bit. So the best bits, this is my favourite bit. So following advanced chemical work instructions to make and improve sensors. So as a student in the lab, you can relate in the fact that when you get into the lab, you have a big presentation where your lab instructors will go over the project, go over all the bits and pieces, go over risk assessments and all the rest of it, and then you get given like a little brief where you fill out your results and you have like a methodology. Well, you don't get that in the professional environment, and that was one of my favourite things, I'm not going to lie. Just getting on with it, throwing in the deep end, and they give you your work instructions, which is basically like your methodology, but it's not beating around the bush. It is just exactly what you need to do. It's not, I'm trying to think of the word. It's not overcomplicated. Do you know? It's very simple, to the point. And I love that. In ZP, they have a saying where in the lab, if you get taught once, then you have to do it on your own, and then the third time you're teaching someone else, which is very daunting. So by the third time you've done something, you have to be good enough in order to show someone else. So you have to really, really make sure that you're taking notes, really taking it in, so you fully understand the experiment and fully understand what the chemicals are doing within that experiment, which for me, I loved. I loved being able to make my own notes and then just leaving me to it. And if I needed any additional help, they would come and help me then. But apart from that, I was all on my own, which was great. Working with professionals in different fields and learning the tricks of the trade. I don't know if you could see, but in one of the previous photos, I was soldering. Again, I'm not a very practical person with things like this, but after working at ZP, I can now say I'm an expert solderer, which is great news, great to put on my CV. And that's all thanks to my fellow colleagues that are amazing mechanical engineers and material engineers that just showed me all the different ways you can do it, and like kind of showing me how to do it in the most easiest way, so I don't have to panic and struggle if I'm asked last minute to do it. So that was great. Feeling like a member of a big team. Like I said, ZP is a very, very, very tight-knit team, and we're all very supportive of each other and all lovely. So it was so lovely to just be in an environment where everyone was really happy and everyone was really supportive of me, and actually wanted to be my friend, not just my colleague, which was really nice, considering I was in a different country and things as well. So, which leads me on to my next point. My favourite bit had to be doing international travel and learning a new language and culture. Just being able to travel in COVID times was a really big thing for me. And I've never worked abroad. I volunteered abroad, but I've never worked abroad. So it was really, really eye-opening to the experience of actually maybe working abroad permanently. And then improving my lab confidence overall, because I was not confident in the lab before my internship at CP, but after spending nearly every single day in the lab, I couldn't be more happy to stay there, if I'm honest. So, some of the more challenging aspects at ZP. So, working independently for paying clients. So, it's that added pressure of knowing that you're not just doing this experiment to check it off a lab grade when you're at uni. It is actually the work that you're doing is actually being paid for by an external industry. So having that additional pressure on you can be a bit daunting, but like I said, the ZP is so good at supporting you that if you ever feel uneasy or like it's too much, then they just swoop in straight away and make sure that you're comfortable and divvy up the workload. Maintaining an aseptic environment in the lab. This is what I found really difficult, because when you're in uni, you're like, oh, I don't need to wear goggles, I don't need to wear gloves, like, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't do this exactly as it said, like, it doesn't really matter as long as I do the experiment. Not. Not in a professional environment, I'm afraid. These clinical sensors will not work unless you are in an aseptic environment in the lab. So making sure that you're constantly head to toe in PPE and keeping external bacteria and pathogens away from you before entering and leaving the lab is really, really important, because otherwise these sensors won't work. And it's a lot of equipment and cost that you're wasting just from being lazy, basically. So yeah, but once you get into the routine of it, it's super easy. It's just muscle memory of all the things you need to put on and what you need to remember. So yeah, don't worry about it. Trying new equipment and software for the first time. So when I first learned how to use a potentiostat and multi-sensor and using PalmSense software and equipment, I struggled a lot. Just trying to remember the basic setups for these experiments. But again, like I said, doing it nearly every single day and testing these sensors, I really got to grips with the software, and I could use chronoamperometry, cyclic voltammetry, and know exactly how the data's meant to look and whether I need to redo it. But again, that was from support from my project supervisor. So yeah, you don't need to worry about that either. So time pressure, if sensors don't go to plan, is also a big challenge because, like I said, that additional pressure you put on yourself, it can really be hard when things don't work out. But the company is always five steps ahead, so I wouldn't worry. They probably have a plan C before you've even thought of a plan A after there's any issues. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just keep working within the team to the best of your ability and it will be fine. So I found it really difficult because I'm a very dedicated person to making myself seem like I'm the best, maybe a bit competitive. So dedication to making your personal work standing out, because there are so many people in the team and there's so many amazing people in amazing fields. As an intern, you kind of want to prove yourself as knowing that you are a member of the team and you aren't just here, like I said, to make tea and coffees. You really want any task that is given to you to be the best that you possibly can. But if you do feel like you're not being, trying to think of the word, that you're not feeling like your work is being appreciated, then please don't worry at all, because in the weekly meetings and in the not just weekly meetings, but even just in your everyday work as well, colleagues will recognize what you're doing, and they do talk about it to the project supervisors, because in my first project I was scared that I wasn't doing enough for the team, so I wanted to be put on more projects and put myself forward, but the work that I was doing was really valid to that project, even though it didn't feel like it. So they had me on the project for the whole of my internship, as well as putting me on other projects, just because even though it's background work, it's really important. So yeah, just stick with it. Don't feel like underappreciated or anything, because I promise you your work is not going unnoticed. So this would be the part of the presentation where I'd ask for questions, but I don't think I have anyone present at the moment.